Italy has become the first Western country to block ChatGPT. The Italian Data Protection Authority said there were privacy concerns relating to the model, which was created by US startup OpenAI and is backed by Microsoft. Millions of people have used ChatGPT since it was launched in November last year. Meanwhile, key figures in artificial intelligence want trading of powerful AI systems to be suspended amid fears of a threat to humanity. Well, let's talk more about this. Michael Owens, the president of US Global Center for Cyber Policy, is joining us live from Georgia. Welcome to the program, Michael.
Hey, thank you. Happy to be here with you.
Let's talk about Italy first. The country's Data Protection Authority has accused OpenAI, the maker of ChatGPT, of stealing data of its users as a reason for the ban. Are their claims justified?
Their claims may be justified. I think the interesting part about it was that it violated the country's policy on data collection, which was very clear that it seems that they possibly may have. But it also seems to stem from the data breach, which happened back on March 20th, which really opened the floodgates as to call into question what data they were collecting, payment information, other information about users themselves.
Michael, why has OpenAI deliberately decided to remain inaccessible in countries such as China, Russia, North Korea, and Iran?
Why have they been inaccessible?
Yes.
I think largely just because it is new technology and it remains in such the hands of just a few people and just a few companies. But, you know, the push is to obviously go global and, you know, as they continue to gain as much information and much data as possible.
Why these four countries? China, we have Russia, we have North Korea, and Iran. Are there security reasons as to why ChatGPT is still inaccessible in these countries?
Well, yes, we know that this technology is very, very powerful. And one of the main concerns about this is that, you know, by having the ability to engage in human-like conversations, deep fakes, composing art, summarizing, you know, lengthy documents in the wrong hands, this could be a serious national security problem for many countries. And, you know, at this point in time, we have to be careful about where that actually is being used and how.
Very many people are concerned about how this OpenAI is going to be checked. How necessary is artificial intelligence regulation to the world?
It's going to be very, very important as we go further. Look, this is still very new, right? It's only been a really just in the last year or so that ChatGPT has really taken off. And we've already seen the wide ramifications of its potential use, and it's only going to be more so going forward. It's important that there is global and country regulations as to how it flourishes and how, from a mutual understanding standpoint, that this goes further.
Michael, the world is evolving, like you pointed out there, and so is the internet. But should governments be wary, and what should they do as a precaution when it comes to protecting rights and even privacy online?
Governments are going to have to find a way to very quickly get to the forefront of this situation. And we mentioned about just how rapidly this technology is growing, and very quickly, more than just one company getting into multiple companies, the technology is going to get going a lot faster. What's been asked is basically to slow down so we can put some regulatory norms in place, some policies, regulations, and frameworks. Currently, there isn't any, and that's the problem. We do have privacy laws, but as we can see, this is going much faster than any laws that anybody currently has on the books right now.
Michael, consumer advocacy groups have called on European Union and national authorities, including data protection watchdogs, to investigate ChatGPT and similar chatbots. Michael, should the probe proceed, and will it yield anything?
I think it may yield violations. We've already seen what, as we mentioned before, what Italy has done. So I'm sure it will yield more violations, but a large part of this is just existing in a vacuum right now, and the ability of new technology and new use cases, if you will, that these ChatGPT and other AI tools will be able to take on. We have to be able to put some things in place to be able to have some bounds around what's allowed. There is issues around what data is being collected, who can actually use this. We've seen many stories now about being used in colleges and universities. What about it being used in elementary schools and middle schools? So I think as we start to think about more use cases, we start to think about more and more areas where we could look at putting regulations around. And as we have more probes into these, we will find out more and more that there are gaps simply because this thing is moving at warp speed and we haven't had an opportunity to put those guardrails around them yet.
Well, look, Michael, this happened 2 days back or yesterday. AI leaders, including Elon Musk, called on labs to halt training models for more powerful than ChatGPT 4. The open letter warns of out-of-control race to develop AI. What do you make of this plea?
I think about Gary Marcus, who's a professor at New York University, who said, this letter isn't perfect, but the spirit is right. As I mentioned, we know this is moving at warp speed, and the cause is just a pause. I think more than 1,000 people signed on to this. It's very interesting, though, some that did sign and others that did not, because we do know this is an AI space race that's going on right now. But the idea to slow down, to pause a bit until we can, again, put some more information around this, I think is a good idea.
Let's talk about this race. How powerful is artificial intelligence if it is not properly checked? We
don't know. That's the simple answer is we don't know because it's moving so fast. We're finding so many different applications for it. It's growing almost exponential at this point. So it's simple to say, but we truly don't know at this point in time.
Michael, finally, some people are concerned that AI could soon take over companies or even their jobs. What will be the repercussions or ramifications if that ever happened?
I think that's part of it. Almost sounds like a movie, right? Where the robots are going to take over the world. But we're at a point now where open AI and AI in general is moving so quickly and finding so many different things to take on roles and jobs and, writing poetry and creating art, to where we truly do want to understand, what the limitations are around this. And, it's on our autopilot right now. And I think we have to find a way to make sure that we curtail that back a bit. Ironic as well, that Elon Musk was one of those that had signed on to cause for the pause. But at the same time, right, Tesla, which obviously owns, uses open AI and heavily invests in AI for their auto driving system. So, there's conflicts at hand here, but there's also a really push to keep moving forward. We have to have regulation and frameworks in place to control this. We truly don't know the limits of what AI can do.
I have to ask this question. Should the world be worried about AI?
I think everyone should be worried about AI. That's really the short answer. It's one of those things where it's truly can be used in a positive sense, in a positive way. It can make our lives more fruitful, more better, but we have to do so in a way that makes sure it is safe, that we can trust what we see and hear, and that all countries around the world at some point in time agree to a set of norms when it comes to utilizing AI.
All right. Michael Owens, President of U.S. Global Center for Cyber Policy, thank you very much for giving us time and for talking to WION World is One.
You're welcome. Happy to be here. Thank you.